is still something that is useful to do if you haven't done that, because usually people aren't good at telling you if they like an idea or if they don't like an idea, but they are good at telling you if they like something you put in front of them. So if you tell them like, hey, like, do you like this platform for, helping users find, freelancers? It's hard for them to say yes or no. But if you put something in front of them that they can play with, it's easy for them to be like, oh yes, I would use this, or no, I wouldn't. So today's gonna be really simple. There's like tons of tools. You don't have to use these, but I thought for people who might not have design experience, this is like the easiest one to start with. Has anybody used Adobe XD before? Anyone have experience with that? Cool. So it is like most other tools, but the good thing is it is completely free, and it is also really high quality. So I've enjoyed using it a lot. So basically, like what we're going to actually, I guess I can kind of I lost my cable, my USB-C to HDMI, so I don't have my computer on this, so I won't be able to demo it. But basically, what you'll have at the end of this is something that looks really close to a high-fidelity working product without any lines of code. And so this is basically just a simple design tool. Once you open it up, you basically just see like a blank box, and then like on the side are just shapes. So like, let's say I want to create like some sort of sign up screen. It's pretty simple. Like I would just kind of drag the shapes and maybe like put in text and things like that. Like welcome. It's really only like I think 5 minutes of a tutorial necessary for this. Welcome to call it Deal Buddy. That was one of the projects we're working on in iOS, and just basically make it like super big. I won't go over like most of it because I think it's like really, really intuitive, and that like 10 minutes of going around will help you figure it out. I guess the important thing I would just recommend is that like as you are building content, like a good way to keep it organized and like collaborate is to like group things together. So like let's say this is like the sign up flow, right? The thing that you can do is kind of organize these elements, because once you get a lot of different shapes and stuff, it becomes very confusing. And so if you press like Control G, it basically group together. And so especially if you're working in a team, like that has a pretty great functionality, like user input. You can kind of give it a name and sort all the elements together, and then once you like move them, they will all move together. This is going on here, but and then the other cool thing about this, I think, is like the only non-other intuitive part is the ability to basically like repeat a design. So like let's say I have like a quick card, which is usually pretty useful with like some sort of like image in it. Let's see, it's like a like a user profile image. Then you can repeat this card by, sorry, I'm also not like a Windows user. This is a little, by kind of clicking on this like repeat group grid thing on the side. And so I think it's really intuitive. You just drag and drop the shapes. I think you want to keep track of your layers and basically make sure they're grouped appropriately, and then like use the repeat grid to make sure you don't have to do that much work. And then once you sort of get through this, let's get out of here. You can export these designs and put them into InVision. So, has anyone used InVision before? Has anyone heard of it? Cool. It is also super simple. So let's take our amazing prototype here and export these slides. Export artboards. PNG, yeah, that's fine. Let's on the desktop. Then you can just drag them into InVision. So basically what InVision does is that you have all these images, right? But it's still not really demoable. You want something where like a user can interact with it and try different things in order to figure out like where their intuition takes them. So basically all you have to do here, and I guess this is a tutorial already because I just created this account. Basically you can like put a hotspot on the screen, and what it will do is once someone clicks in this hotspot, it will just move from one screen to another screen. So since you only have 2 pages here, it's not going to be super intuitive, but like if you like go into present mode, basically you have this like login screen, I guess, right? And you like click in a certain hotspot. I think I already like clicked there. if you click in a certain hotspot, it'll basically go to the other screen. And so with enough images in here, or not even that many, you can basically make it look like something that is very interactive and something that like a user can, play around with.
Ooh.
But you don't actually have to build any code. And so like the reason to do this is because you don't really want to start building anything until you feel really, really confident that you have something that's solid. And waiting until you write a bunch of code, or you spend like 3 months like getting into like some core functionality, like this can really just save you a lot of time in doing that. And like I said, it's much easier for people to tell if they like something or not when they actually have a concrete version of what it is. And for most of you, you don't really have a concrete enough idea of what you're going to do until you start kind of putting it down on paper and figuring out how it needs to work. There's a lot of other tools that are maybe even a little easier than that. But I'm in some nerd spot. But there's other tools like Balsamiq. It also helps you kind of create different prototyping tools. And it's like even simpler than that. And so we kind of like made a quick prototype in 10 minutes. And so what I'm kind of hoping is that everyone can spend the next 30 minutes building out what their prototype will look like. And then we will user test with each other in order to kind of get a better idea of what that's going to be like. And so I'll also go through after we're done with this, like how to user test, what questions to ask, what information are you looking for when you like actually create a clickable demo. But today is not about lecture. Today is actually about making progress on your first prototype for your product. So let's focus on that. Are there any questions? I mean, there wasn't too much content. I think we're going to do something where like a lecture is every other week, and then in the middle, like you'll actually just get time to work with your teams. But all of the meetings are super mandatory. And yes, cool. So that seems pretty intuitive. We will be going around. Let's set sort of like a timer for 3:40, 3:50, and hopefully you guys can get something that looks pretty good by then, considering this took me like 2.5 minutes. All right, great team. I will post the links to both of these sites in the. Also, if you're not on Slack, you need to join Slack. We will stop emailing you. We will just be using Slack. So talk to Vivek if you're not.